The words cut through the kitchen like a blade. Daniel froze, his spoon resting in a cup of untouched tea. The room smelled of toast and coffee, ordinary and warm, which made her sentence feel even colder. He had expected discussion, maybe reassurance. Instead, he was given a condition Daniel was used to managing alone. He worked long hours, paid his bills on time, and avoided debt whenever he could. Money was never easy, but it was controlled. Family, however, had always been unpredictable. Especially his mother. This trip was her idea. A family vacation. She had called it. A chance to reconnect, to heal old distance. She spoke about it with pride, telling relatives how important togetherness was. Daniel wanted to believe her. He wanted to feel included, not like the spare piece he had often felt like growing up. He asked careful questions. Where were they going? How long would they stay? What would the total cost be? Helen answered some and ignored others. She kept repeating the same number for the flights, as if that was all that mattered. I can make the flight cost work, Daniel said slowly. But I need to know everything. I don't want surprises. Helen finally looked up. Her eyes were sharp, measuring. I'll handle the details, she said. Just send the money. I know what I'm doing. Daniel hesitated. That hesitation was quiet, but it mattered. His instincts whispered that something felt off. Yet another part of him, the part that still hoped for approval, pushed him forward. Saying no would mean staying behind, being left out again. So he agreed. He transferred the money she asked for the next day. His savings took a hit, but he told himself it was worth it. Memories were important. Family mattered. That was what people always said. A week passed, then another. Late one night, his phone buzzed. A notification from his bank. Daniel opened it casually, then sat upright in bed as his heart began to pound. $9,540 charge. He stared at the screen, convinced it was a mistake. He refreshed the app. The number didn't change. His breathing became shallow as he tried to make sense of it. Flights were $1,450. Even with a hotel and meals, the total made no sense. His first thought was panic. The second was denial. His third was fear. He called his mother immediately. The phone rang several times before she answered. Yes? Helen said, sounding annoyed. There's a charge, Daniel said, trying to keep his voice calm. Almost $10,000. That can't be right. There was a pause. Then her tone hardened. That's the cost. That's not possible, Daniel replied. You told me. I told you the flight price, she interrupted. Not the full package. You agreed. Daniel's grip tightened. Around the phone. I asked for the total. I asked you to be clear. You worry too much, Helen said. Everything is expensive these days. If you couldn't afford it, you should have said so. The call ended shortly after. She hung up before he could respond. Daniel sat in silence, staring at the wall. His chest felt tight, as if something heavy was pressing down on him. This wasn't just about money. It was about being dismissed. About being made to feel foolish for trusting her. Sleep didn't come easily that night. The next morning, while trying to distract himself at work, his phone buzzed again. A message appeared from a family group chat he rarely checked. Someone had shared screenshots. Flight confirmations. Hotel bookings. Prices. Daniel's fingers trembled as he scrolled. The numbers were clear. Too clear. The flights were exactly what Helen had said. The hotel was modest. The total cost was far less than what he had paid. Then he noticed something else. Upgrades. extra rooms, private transport. None of those were under his name. The truth settled slowly, painfully. His money had covered more than his share. It had paid for comfort he wasn't even going to enjoy. While others relaxed, he would be working extra months to recover. Daniel felt something inside him crack. Not loudly. Not all at once. Just enough to change the way he saw everything. He remembered past moments suddenly, as if his mind had been saving them for this point. Times when his needs came last. When he was told to understand. When he was expected to give more and complain less. This wasn't a mistake. It was a pattern. Helen believed she was right. In her world, she was the center, the organizer, the one who deserved reward. If Daniel paid more, it was because he could handle it. Because he always did. Daniel closed his phone and leaned back in his chair. His hands were cold. His jaw was tight. He felt embarrassed, but beneath that was something stronger. Anger, not the loud kind. The quiet, focused kind that doesn't fade quickly. For the first time, Daniel didn't think about fixing things. He didn't think about explaining himself or asking for fairness. Instead, one clear thought formed in his mind. She chose to use me. And with that realization, something shifted. Trust was gone. Respect was gone. What remained was a question he had never seriously asked before. What do you do when the person who raised you becomes the one who betrays you? The answer didn't come yet, but the desire to make things right or make them hurt had begun. Anger did not explode inside Daniel. It settled. It sat heavy in his chest and followed him everywhere. To work, to the store, to bed at night. He moved through his days like nothing had changed. But inside, his thoughts were sharp and restless. Every quiet moment pulled him back to the same truth. His mother had not made a mistake. She had made a choice. Daniel replayed the phone call again and again. Her calm voice. Her quick dismissal. The way she turned his concern into a weakness. He realized she never once said sorry. Not even a soft version of it. To her, the money was already justified. The conversation was already over. He tried to focus on work, but numbers on his screen blurred together. Each time he looked at his bank balance, his stomach tightened. That money was supposed to be security, emergency savings, peace of mind. Now it was gone, and no one seemed to care. At night, Daniel lay awake staring at the ceiling. Memories rose without warning. Birthdays where his needs came last. Promises that were never kept. Moments where he felt invisible unless he was useful. He had ignored those signs for years, telling himself this was just how family worked. Now, he saw it clearly. Love had always come with a cost. Helen, on the other hand, slept well. She posted pictures in the family group chat, showing hotel views and smiling faces. She wrote captions about gratitude and blessings. Daniel watched silently, his jaw tight. Each message felt like another small cut. He imagined calling her again. In his mind, he said all the right words. He stood his ground. He demanded respect. But he also imagined her response. She would deny. She would cry. She would twist the story until he was the problem. Daniel understood something important then. Confronting her directly would not bring relief. It would only drain him more. That was when another thought appeared. Slow and dangerous. What if he didn't argue? What if he didn't beg? What if he let the truth speak for itself? Helen cared deeply about how others saw her. She built her identity on being admired. The kind mother, the generous organizer, the one who held the family together. That image mattered more to her than private honesty. Daniel had proof. Screenshots, receipts, dates, numbers that did not lie. He didn't act on it right away. The idea of revenge scared him. He had always believed he was better than that. He told himself to let it go, to move on, to be the bigger person. But each time he tried, the anger returned stronger. He thought about the extra shifts he would have to take, the plans he would cancel, the stress he would carry alone. And then he thought about Helen enjoying upgrades paid for by his sacrifice, without even acknowledging it. The imbalance felt unbearable. Still, Daniel struggled. He didn't want to hurt anyone. He didn't want to break the family. He asked himself hard questions. Would exposing her make him feel whole? Or would it make him someone he didn't recognize? He watched other people interact with her, praising her generosity, thanking her for arranging the trip. Each compliment felt like a lie he was forced to carry. Slowly, his anger began to change shape. It became focus. Daniel started preparing. Quietly, he organized his evidence into folders. He wrote down timelines. He reviewed every transfer. He wasn't planning chaos. He was planning clarity. At the same time, he studied his own heart. He noticed how revenge promised power but threatened peace. He imagined the moment of exposure, the shock, the silence, the broken trust. Part of him wanted that moment badly. Another part of him feared what would come after. Helen never reached out. Not to explain. Not to check on him. Her silence felt intentional, like a message. Accept this, or stay out of the way. That message hardened something inside Daniel. He realized this wasn't only about money anymore. It was about being seen as equal. About refusing to be quietly used again. The family dinner invitation arrived a few days later. A celebration. Another moment of togetherness. Daniel stared at the message for a long time. This would be the setting. The audience. The choice. He didn't decide immediately. He just knew one thing for certain. He would not stay silent forever. As the day approached, his emotions grew heavier, but clearer. He practiced calm. He practiced truth without shouting. He practiced walking away if he needed to. Revenge no longer felt like anger. It felt like standing still while the world finally saw what he had been carrying alone. And deep inside, Daniel understood the risk. Once spoken, truth could not be taken back. Once chosen, the path would change everything. The only question left was whether he was ready to live with the outcome, no matter which way it fell. The restaurant was loud with laughter. Plates clinking, voices overlapping in easy comfort. Warm lights hung above the long table, casting soft shadows on familiar faces. Daniel arrived on time, dressed neatly, calm on the outside. Inside, his heart beat fast, steady, like a countdown. Helen sat at the center, confident as always. She smiled widely, greeting relatives, telling stories about the trip. Her voice carried across the table, smooth and proud. People listened. People nodded. People admired her. Daniel took his seat quietly. As food was served, conversation flowed. Someone praised Helen for organizing everything so well. Another thanked her for being so thoughtful. She accepted the praise with grace, lifting her glass, brushing off compliments like they were nothing. Daniel felt the pressure build in his chest. Not anger now. Wait. He watched her closely. He looked for a sign, a pause, a glance, anything that suggested regret. There was nothing. Helen spoke as if the past weeks had never happened. Desert arrived. The moment felt close. Too close. Then, someone said it. A casual comment. We should do another trip like that sometime. Laughter followed. Helen smiled. Oh, maybe next year, she said lightly. Planning takes so much effort, but it's worth it when everyone's happy. Daniel stood. The movement was small, but it changed everything. Chairs stopped shifting. Conversations faded. Heads turned. "I need to say something," he said. Helen's smile froze. "Daniel, this isn't the time," she replied, her voice tight. "It is for me," he said. The room felt suddenly quiet, like the air itself was waiting. Daniel didn't rush. He didn't raise his voice. He spoke slowly, clearly, the way he had practiced in his mind. "When the trip was planned, I was told the flight price was $1,450, he said. "I agreed to that. Later, I was charged $9,540. Murmurs spread across the table. Helen shifted in her seat. Daniel continued. "I asked for clarity. I didn't get it. So I looked into it myself." He unlocked his phone and placed it on the table, sliding it forward. Screenshots glowed under the lights. Receipts, prices, timelines. "These are the actual costs," he said. "The difference paid for upgrades I didn't use." Silence followed. Heavy and uncomfortable. Helen's face flushed. "You're misunderstanding," she said sharply. "You always do this. You overthink." Daniel looked at her, steady. "The numbers are clear." Someone picked up the phone. Another leaned closer. The truth moved quietly from hand to hand. Helen stood suddenly. "This is family business," she said. "You had no right to bring this here." "I had every right," Daniel replied. "It was my money." For a brief moment, something flickered in Helen's eyes. Not guilt. Fear. The fear of being seen without her mask. "You're embarrassing me," she whispered. Daniel took a breath. This was the edge. The point of no return. "I didn't embarrass you," he said calmly. "I explained myself." No one spoke. The restaurant noise returned slowly, distant and unimportant. At their table, time felt paused. Daniel realized something then. The rush he expected never came. There was no thrill, no victory. Just a strange stillness. He looked around at his family. Confused faces, hurt faces, people caught between loyalty and truth. This was the cost. Helen sat back down, her posture stiff. "I did what I thought was best," she said quietly. "I carry this family. I deserve some comfort." Her words landed flat, even to herself. Daniel nodded once. "That may be how you see it," he said. "But it doesn't make it right." He picked up his phone. "I didn't come here to fight," he continued. "I came to be honest. I won't be paying for things without consent again." No shouting followed. No dramatic exit. Just a quiet ending. Daniel sat back down. His hands were steady. His heart still raced, but his mind was clear. The moment had passed. The choice had been made, and nothing would be the same again. Daniel left the restaurant alone. The night air was cool, and the noise from inside faded as the door closed behind him. He walked slowly to his car, feeling both heavy and light at the same time. Something important had ended, even if no one had said it out loud. In the days that followed, messages arrived. Some relatives checked on him quietly. Others stayed silent. Helen sent one short text, filled with blame and disappointment. There was no apology. Daniel did not reply. He had said what he needed to say at first. He waited for relief to arrive. He thought the truth would bring peace instantly. It did not. His chest still felt tight when he thought about his mother. His sleep was uneven. His thoughts returned to that table, to her face, To the moment everything shifted. But something else had changed too. He no longer felt confused. The fog was gone. Daniel reviewed his finances carefully. He spoke to a professional, asked calm questions, followed proper steps. There was no drama, no public noise, just action. Over time, part of the money came back, not all of it, enough to breathe again. Helen never acknowledged this effort. She told others her own version of events. She said Daniel was ungrateful. She said he had hurt her deeply. Daniel heard these things from a distance, like echoes that no longer reached his core. He focused on his own life. He took extra shifts. He rebuilt his savings. He returned to routines that made him feel steady. The anger faded slowly, replaced by something quieter and stronger. Acceptance. He accepted that his mother might never understand. He accepted that fairness was not something she valued the same way he did. And most importantly, he accepted that he did not need her approval to live honestly. Weeks passed, then months. Family gatherings became rare. When they happened, Daniel kept his boundaries clear. He was polite, calm, distant. He shared less. He listened more. Helen noticed but said nothing. One afternoon, Daniel sat alone in his apartment, sunlight filling the room. He thought about revenge, about that night, about the look in her eyes when the truth surfaced. It had felt powerful for a moment, then empty. What truly helped him heal was not exposure but distance, not punishment but clarity. He realized revenge had not fixed the past. It had simply stopped the future from repeating it. Daniel no longer felt the need to prove anything. He stopped explaining his choices. He stopped carrying guilt that was never his to hold. In quiet moments, he reflected on what he had learned. That betrayal does not always come from enemies. That love without respect is not love at all. That protecting yourself is not the same as being cruel. Helen remained who she was. Control was her comfort. Justification was her shield. Daniel stopped trying to break it. One evening she called. The conversation was brief, polite, careful, surface level. When the call ended, Daniel set his phone down and felt calm. That calm was new. He understood now that revenge had not given him peace, but truth had given him direction. Boundaries had given him freedom. The pain did not disappear completely. It softened. It became a reminder instead of a wound. Daniel looked ahead, not back. And in that choice, he found something better than revenge. He found control over his own life.